Hey, this is Heidi Dawson. If you love all things health and wellness and style of any kind, hang out here with me each week. I'm obsessed with never-ending improvement, and it's all in an effort to help each one of us live a wildly successful lifestyle. Subscribe today so you don't miss a thing. Hi guys, welcome to the 92nd episode of the Wildly Successful Lifestyle Podcast. So if you haven't shared an episode with your friends yet, this one will be a good one to share because for a lot of people, this time of year is so hard, and especially this year, right? And look, no matter when you're listening to this, the information that I try to do in all of my episodes is evergreen. And for those of you that don't know what evergreen means, which I didn't, I had to ask my coach, I was like, what do you mean? Anyway, basically it means that the information applies no matter what time of year you're listening to it, no matter what year you're listening to it. So anyway, if you're listening to this episode and you love it, maybe think about sharing it, but also taking that extra step and scrolling down to give a 5-star rating if you love it. All right, it's 2020 right now, and getting ready for the holidays is a little different this year, isn't it? I mean, if we think about it, it's always different from year to year, right? Nothing stays the same. I mean, maybe we added a new family member or we lost a family member, and so the dynamics of our traditions changed a bit, or maybe even changed a lot. And if we really think about it, change is consistent. I mean, it's the main consistency in our life. You can count on change, right? Things are going to change, and things are going to be good, and then they'll be tough, and then they're going to be good again. So if it's tough right now for you, this too shall pass. Okay? 2020 has taught me that nothing is permanent. Nothing bad is permanent, but then you have to say that nothing good is permanent either. Now, why did I have to go and say that? It might seem a little bit negative, but that's just because we do tend to like things to stay the same, especially if they're good. I mean, we've been programmed to crave comfort and predictability, but we were put on this earth to have new experiences. I mean, we're here to create and to enjoy life. We're here to grow and learn and inspire and be inspired. And the events of this year and the things that we're dealing with will pass. Now, it may not seem like it, but they will. And you know what? Sometimes a change is good. I mean, it makes us either appreciate what we had or realize maybe we didn't love that tradition so much anymore, and so we're glad it changed. Maybe it makes us start a new tradition. I mean, if you really dig deep, you can find something good that has come from the change up. I mean, maybe your holiday's a little more intimate. Maybe it really makes you appreciate the traditions that you may have taken for granted. Or maybe this time of year you're lonely and you aren't sure when that's going to end. I mean, loneliness is an emotion that most people feel at one point or another. So if you're feeling lonely right now, you aren't alone. There have been times in my life where I've been in a group of people I really love and enjoy, and I still felt lonely. I mean, the reason is because my thoughts were on something other than the present. I mean, I was thinking about something that was missing. And often it isn't the lonely feeling that is so distressing. It's the thought that we're always going to be lonely that is the most distressing thing. But you know what? Again, this too shall pass. You aren't always going to have that loneliness emotion. And listen, if you're feeling loneliness that is devastating and feels like depression and you just can't kick it, ask for help. I mean, if you do not feel comfortable talking with someone in person about your feelings, there's lots of different options. One that I have found many people have highly recommended is betterhelp.com. I'm going to put that in the show notes so you don't have to, try to write it down or decipher what I said. So that is where you could go online to get help for mental health work if you need it. And there's no shame in needing a little help here and there. I mean, we all do, and getting it is a sign of strength, not weakness. Another proven way to work through loneliness is to reach out and help someone that's less fortunate than you are. Because more than likely, there is someone who has it worse than you. I mean, maybe an elderly neighbor who's alone all the time. Maybe you could drop off fresh cookies or a plant. What about fostering a dog or a cat that needs a home? You could clean out your closet and drop clothes off at the homeless shelter. They always need clothes. Or how about donating money to a cause that you care about, like maybe an abused women's shelter? And these are just a few ideas. And another thing too, loneliness or feeling of unhappiness, it could also be a hormone imbalance. Now, I've been pretty open about my experience with hormone imbalance. I'm super grateful to have realized that my feelings that I had a few years ago of unhappiness and loneliness, they were a hormone imbalance. And now I don't have those problems anymore because I regularly have these bioidentical pellets put in my hip to balance my hormones. And if you think this may be a problem, go back and listen to episode 63 with Dr. Richard Pearson. I mean, it feels really, really good to know there are things you can do to make the emotion of loneliness or any negative emotion feel less powerful in your life. Remember, you control your thoughts, which control your emotions. So becoming more aware of our thoughts is super helpful. So yeah, I mean, life changes. Life is full of ups and downs. What can we do, though, to give ourselves a little help for riding those waves? Not all of us are optimistic by nature. And one of the things I'm super grateful for every day is that I am pretty optimistic by nature. But when I was facing hormone issues, I can remember sitting on my back steps and thinking to myself that it wouldn't matter if I was sitting in my own personal beach house with the sun shining and all my family around, I wouldn't be happy right now. And that was very abnormal for me. So during that time when I wasn't feeling naturally joyful like I usually am, I did a lot of soul searching. And I realized that I could help myself quite a bit by what I focus on, what I read, what I watch, and who I surround myself with. Have you been realizing that lately too? I feel like it's sort of this thing that's happening with everyone. They're starting to become more aware of that. And each of us has the ability, no matter what our nature is, to be happier depending on what we're taking in. It reminds me of a story that I heard this week. So there was an old Cherokee grandfather, and he was teaching his grandson a life lesson one day. He tells his grandson that there is a battle going on inside of each one of us. He says, "My son, the battle is between two wolves that live inside of us. One wolf is evil. It's anger, jealousy, sorrow, regret, self-pity, greed, arrogance, inferiority, lies, and ego. The other wolf is good. It's joy, peace, love, hope, serenity, humility, kindness, generosity, truth, compassion, and faith." The grandson's listening intensely, and he thinks about this statement for a while, and then he asks his grandpa, he said, "Grandpa, which wolf ultimately wins?" The grandfather replies to him, "The one that you feed." So I know if I start my day with a positive podcast, meditation, grateful journaling, and exercise, that I'll give myself the foundation of a productive, happy day. And there may be things that come up that day that aren't great, but feeding my good wolf in the morning will help keep him alive and thriving. I also know that if I give in to my primitive brain's addiction to drama and negativity by starting my day listening or reading to the latest political drama or whatever the latest negative news of the week is, I know that I could get sucked in and go down a rabbit hole of the injustices of the world. But you know what? What wolf am I feeding when I do that? So this week, my challenge to you is to be cognizant of your thoughts, which lead to your emotions. And if you think you have a hormone issue or a deeper issue, please get help. And mostly, every single thing you read, listen to, watch, and every person with whom you spend your time, ask yourself, which wolf am I feeding? I love you guys, and I'll talk to you in a few days. Don't forget to subscribe and share with your friends, because we're just going to keep going bigger and better places together, and I love that about us. Talk to you in a few days.